Hello again, this is Bob Dust, your instructor for the Reynolds Community College MVC course. Today's topic we will discuss MVC routing, where we identify to the controller when a URL address comes in as to what action method we should be executing. So let's take a look at that. Let's bring up this is our project. And again, the project is we are identifying students, courses, instructors, classes, etc. So if we go to our app start route config class over here, we see we have, this is what comes with the shell stub code from the project when we launch it. Now let's ignore this first line here. The second line is we are mapping a route to our routes collection. And we're saying anytime you get a controller, such as courses, and actions, such as details, and then some ID, which is some number we pass to it, it passes that information to the controller and says, oh, we need the courses controller, the detailed action method, and we will pass an ID of, say, 5. That's what this code here does. It's the default. It says if we don't pass it anything, it will send it to the home index view over here. So let's go to our model class, and we'll come back to this later, obviously. We'll go to our model class, and while you were sleeping last night, I came and created a new class called Tag. Again, this inherits from the interface identity. You remember from identity, we have a ID and a name that we pass to our helper class for our RBL, Radio Button List class. And last time we modified these from int and strings to both be objects. Fairly simple class. We have a default constructor method here. We have another constructor method here. Let's kind of hide that one for now. Let's look at this class here. Here is a static method. This is a static method named tags. And what this does is this goes out to our data source, grabs all the courses, selects them by the substring of the first 3 characters of the course tag, and distinct says remove all duplicates. So all we want are the individual unique tags, not tag, but the first 3 characters of the tag for every course. Once we have the tags, we will create a new tag object. We will set the ID and the name in this case to be the same. For example, if we have a course tag of ITP, we want the ID to be ITP and the name to be ITP. Then we'll order by the course tag, and we'll create a list out of that. So that's our tag class. I didn't want to bore you with my in-depth typing skills in the tutorial, so I pre-wrote that for us. So now let's go to our index page. Oops, wrong page. I meant the index controller. And in my index controller, again, while you were asleep last night, I added a line of code here that I'm creating a tags property to my view bag, and I'll grab the source from that new class static method we just wrote called tags. So let's leave that there for now. Let's go to our index in our course over here. And I added this line here that says, this is using our RBL helper. I am passing it a list, an enumerable of my model entity, because the RBL is looking for an entity object, and we're grabbing the source from our tags. So this will render our course tags in the through the RBL list. And you'll notice in the here it is. In my JavaScript, I wrote a little JavaScript that creates a URL named /courses/DEPT, and I added the course tag to it. So what is DEPT? Let's go back to our controller, and I created a method here called DEPT that takes a variable of a string tag. It actually, okay, and then I grab this courses here, go to my data source, grab courses. I want all of the courses where the tag begins with whatever I passed it to here. So it's using length to say, give me all the courses where the course tag begins with, for example, ITP. Include the instructor, order by the name of the course, create a list, and return the view for courses. I'm going to look at my department view. This looks an awful lot like an index. So let's close that down. And we now have our department. All right, so we're not quite done yet. But let's run this and see what happens. I have the feeling it's not going to work. So let's just try it. I'm going to do a build. My build succeeded. Can't see it to the bottom of the screen. I'm going to right click on my index and view in browser. And this will take a second to load. And once it does, I click on my ITP here. This is my RBL. Click on ITP, and we see we got nothing. If you look at the, let me drag this down a little bit. If you look at the URL, we see we have /courses/DEPT/ITP, which is what we wanted. So let's close this, and let's go to our controller over here. And here's my DEPT, but let me put a breakpoint here. We'll do this again. I'm going to hit run. I'm going to put my breakpoint here again. I'm going to click on ITP. I see we have our tag here, but there's no value in it. Even though in our browser over here, it never got to it. We haven't finished it. So anyway, we see the tag is null. So nothing comes back because nothing starts with null. So we don't get anything. There's nothing returned. So let's stop this. Go back and look. And what we haven't done is we really never told the route what to do with that tag. So let's add a little code here. Route. This is a method attribute. Courses. department tag. We're going to add that line of code as a method attribute and tell the routing process, whenever you see a URL that looks like /dept and it has a tag behind it, then execute this method. So let's try this and let's see what happens. You gotta do a build first while that runs. And there we go. Here it is our string. Again, let's click on ITP. And we see we still have no value for our tag. So we'll continue this and we'll see we get no results here. I'm going to kill this again. We have to add a line of code one more place. So what we're going to do now is go back to our route config and I'm going to add a line here that says routes.map MVC attribute routes. Just because we put this code in here to say this is called an attribute, we need to tell when we register the route to look for these. So now let's try it again. I'm going to do a build. I just like to do that. And let's run this again. And let's see what happens this time. Run my browser again. There's my screen. Click on ITP. We have a tag. Notice this time the value of tag is ITP. That's a good thing. I'm now going to turn off my breakpoint. I'm going to continue. And now we should see we only have the ITP tags. Let's try another. Let's try ENG. And again, we see we only have the ENG tags. So we use routing here. And this is called attribute tags, attribute routing, where we identify to the controller or to MVC that when we get this combination of courses, DEPT, and tag, then execute this method here and pass it the tag value. That's one way of doing it. Let's look at some other options here for another way to do it. So one other thing I want to do is we'll go to my index. So this was option 1. I'll put a little note in here. So we'll call this hard-coded URL. Let's try another way here. Actually, what we're going to do is use a partial view. So I want to copy this line here, put it back up there. That is using routing. Probably a better way of doing this without using routing, we'll show you this anyway, is using a partial view. Remember our container from before? I'll just show you this. Oops. Where's my... let's see here. I got distracted. So I created a partial view called index. And I'm going to add a tag to this. It looks odd for some reason. What did I do wrong? All right, that looks better. And we will do our oh, I left out one line of code here. No wonder. Container is equal to course list. So if you remember, we have our course list down here. This is our, here we are replacing the div named course list using the partial view of index. I'm going to do kind of the same thing here, but instead of using routing, I'm just going to use a partial view, just as we did before. Let's try this and let's see what happens. Gotta do a build. Okay, and there's our screen. Let's click on ITP. Oops. And you notice here, we got DEPT. Let me go back to my index. I meant to turn this off. Let me put some slashes in there. Turn that off and come back over here. Hit the back arrow. Let's see if this will take care of it. HIS. And now you see, it's still doing it. Hold on a second. Okay, let's go back over here. I have that comment out. I'm going to save this. Let me do a refresh. Reload the page, click ITP. There we go. So now this is just using a partial view. Same kind of logic, but a little faster, you notice. I don't know why I showed you that, because we are really focusing on routing. But I just want you to see there are sometimes other ways of doing things. So this is the routing way here. And this is the way using partial views. So that kind of brings us to a close here. Remember, the main thing is to make sure we do our routes over here in our route config, and in our controller we add these attribute tags over here. So that's the end of this, and that's it. Again, I'm Bob Dust, and hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you next time. Later. Bye.